Michael Jordan breaks his silence as NBC's new voice. Can the GOAT make great TV? Amazon's automation plan targets more than 500,000 jobs inside the 75% robot future. Paramount circles Warner Brothers Discovery. Could CBS and CNN share one Trump-aligned umbrella? Republican Senator Ted Cruz waves a red flag, and Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, pushes term limits. The GOP's message is shifting. And measles surges past 1,500 U.S. cases. Why this childhood rash is far deadlier than you think. All that and more today on Filtered.
Welcome to Filtered with TJ Walker.
Hi, and welcome to Filter. Thanks for joining me today. Let's check in on the market vitals as we do each day. The S&P 500 closed yesterday at 6,735.35, and that's essentially no change at all. The NASDAQ Composite closed at 22,953.67, down 0.16%. Never forget the long-term S&P 500 over the last 25 years has averaged going up 7.4% per year. NASDAQ 100 is averaged going up 9.73% per year. So please think long term. Okay, we're going to dive right into our top story of the day. Michael Jordan can still make a shot, but can he make good television? In his first appearance as an NBC basketball contributor, Jordan told Mike Tirico that he's trading the court for the commentary booth, saying he wants to pay it forward and share lessons from his legendary career. The six-time champion reflected on family time and admitted he hasn't picked up a basketball in years, except to swish a single free throw at a fan's request. It's the most nervous I've been in years, Jordan said. NBC clearly hopes his name alone will draw viewers, but here's the real challenge. History is filled with superstar athletes who bombed as commentators. Jordan's on-air journey could test whether greatness on the court translates to greatness on the camera. Let's take a look and see what he did in his first appearance. Now, some of you are really young. Who's Michael Jordan? Well, he's considered by many to be the all-time greatest basketball player ever. We're not going to get into that debate here. I well remember seeing him. My freshman year of college was his freshman year of college, and I could see him, 20 feet in front of me. It was thrilling then, and he, of course, had a remarkable, amazing career. Can he do the same in the broadcaster's booth? Now, he's tried other sports. Baseball, not as big a success. Golf, not as big a success. Let's take a look now and see how he comes across when he speaks. If you're a broadcast analyst, you are judged on how you speak. So let's take a look at this right now, and you can judge for yourself. We'll go full screen on this.
It's amazing. You never really know when you're in the prime of your career, how much time you really do not have for family. That's what I have time to do now. I mean,
So when you're this famous and this respected, people do give you a pass. They sort of assume you're a genius. You can't judge how he'll be as a commentator based on a 3-minute interview. It is interesting to me that he's closing his eyes when he speaks, which is not at all uncommon. When people are thinking, and CEOs and business executives I train, when they're thinking, they do close their eyes. That's normal. But it tends to look a little weird on TV. Analysts on TV, sports analysts, don't typically do that.
Valuable asset I have is time. Right. So that's probably why you don't see enough of me, because
now, he does come across as relaxed, friendly. He's clearly done tens of thousands of interviews his whole life. He's not in any way nervous. He doesn't seem stiff. His face is animated. His facial expressions are vivid. That's all good.
That time I'm trying to spend with family members and things that I've been missing out on for such a long time.
You do see his eyes wander. Again, when you're being interviewed, that's one thing. If you're the host, if you're the commentator, and you know the camera's on you, it's a little bit different. It's an easy skill to learn. Time will tell.
Do you ever pick up a ball and just shoot?
I haven't picked up a ball in years.
No, come on. Just like walk past. There's got to be a hoop somewhere at your place.
You don't see a hoop anywhere around here, right?
I don't. Wait,
It's a
seriously,
reason- it's
the
a
last
reason-
time you
it's a
picked up a
reason.
basketball and shot it.
And for those of you listening on the podcast, it appears that the interview took place in Michael Jordan's home by the NBC anchor interviewing him.
I was at the Ryder Cup,
Yeah,
and I rented a house from the owner.
sure.
He came over to do pictures. He had grandkids, and I was meet and greet and thank him.
So he's telling a story. It's a little reflective. It's a little bit slow. I mean, being an analyst, it is good to weave in personal stories of your own experiences. That can be a good skill to have if you get a little faster, a little quicker to it.
for allowing me to stay in the house. And he had a basketball court. He says, "I want you to shoot one free throw." I said, "Really?"
And this is good storytelling. He's describing a setting, he's introducing characters, he's bringing in dialogue. These are all things you want in storytelling and that make for good TV.
Now, I already paid for the house. It's not like they got to see me. So when I stepped up to shoot the free throw, it's the most nervous I've been in years.
Stop it.
Okay, so he's talking about his own vulnerability. That's great. That is what makes someone a more effective communicator, whether they're a speaker in front of real audiences or in front of TV audiences. So he's not afraid to say he was nervous, show weakness, show vulnerability. So if he can do that consistently, he may be on to something with his career. Okay, let's really go to what's the real message here. Michael Jordan now has an opportunity to really get in front of a whole new crowd of basketball fans by being a commentator. Can he succeed? We don't know yet. He might be the greatest thing ever. He may be the next Chevy Chase talk show host and be gone in a few weeks. Let's dig a little deeper here. Those of you who may not get that reference, but Chevy Chase, a famous TV star, movie star, was given a late night talk show many years ago, bombed tremendously. It's a different skill set. You can be a really funny performer on Saturday Night Live. You can be a good movie star and be awful interviewing other people. So let's take a look at some of the track records of really successful athletes, how they did in the broadcast booth. Certainly some have done well. There's no doubt about it. But Wayne Gretzky lasted less than a year as an NHL analyst and admitted that he hated criticizing players. It is a different mindset. Joe Montana, the football great, had a stint on CBS, and it ended quickly. By all accounts, his delivery was wooden and painfully slow. Magic Johnson, the basketball great, did ABC commentary and was incredibly awkward. One Sports Illustrator critic said it was, quote, he was as stiff as a double dribble. Some have succeeded. Shaquille O'Neal has had some success on inside the NBA. So there's several issues here that I think are worthy of notice. You've heard me talk about this before. You can be good at one thing and not good at another. Michael Jordan, great basketball player, incredible athleticism, didn't make him a world-class baseball player. He never really got out of the minor leagues or succeeded there. So there are different things that are different skill sets. Here's the other issue that I think doesn't get enough attention. Part of being incredibly great at something is your approach to a skill is so intuitive. There's so many things you're doing well, you don't even know that you're doing it. You don't know how to describe it, therefore you don't know how to analyze it. Someone once asked the Ted Williams, the baseball great, how do you hit so many home runs? And he essentially said, oh, it's very simple. You just wait till you see the seams of the baseball right in front of you and you hit it. Well, that's interesting, but frankly, useless advice to 99.99% of mortals who don't have the eyes and the ability to literally see the seams come across on a baseball before it gets to them. So that is why often you hear the old axiom, if you want a great coach, find someone who was an average player in high school or college. Dean Smith, by all accounts, was a better basketball coach than Michael Jordan would have been, or many, Larry Bird for that matter. So someone of average athletic ability and average talent is often better at analyzing exactly what works, what doesn't work. I'm going to keep an open mind for Michael Jordan. He's clearly talented. He's wildly successful. But he's also used to people really saying, yes, sir, Mr. Jordan, you're the greatest ever. You're the greatest ever. You're the greatest ever. By most accounts, he's already a billionaire. So there's always that awkwardness in his first season. If it's 8 weeks in and he's done a lot of commentary and there's tremendous criticism, there's always that chance he says, oh, I don't need this. Why am I traveling and working hard and getting up early just to get a lot of criticism? I'm already rich. I can be on the golf course. I can do whatever I want. So that's the big unknown when it comes to assessing the talent of someone like Michael Jordan going into the broadcast booth. Certainly there's that initial draw. There's that just curiosity factor. So many people have heard about him their whole lives. If they were old enough to have watched him in his prime, there's a special spot in their heart for him and his talents. That's not enough to make you watch week 7, 8, 9. The only equivalent, I think, really is Tom Brady, who went into the broadcast booth with one of the biggest contracts ever and got some pretty mediocre reviews in the beginning, but now you don't hear that much criticism for him. So we will see. It is a different skill set. What I don't know is what his work ethic is for a new skill like this. Michael Jordan famously had a great work ethic when it came to his basketball skills, showed up on time, was there early, stayed late for practice from junior high school on. No one ever questions his work ethic. A lot of people feel like being an analyst is just, hey, you just show up and talk. Well, it's not really that simple. You need to do real homework. And there's also just skills to learn about how long should I talk? When should I interject? When should I not interject? When should I bring in a personal story anecdote? When is it too much? There's a lot of subtlety here and the ability to communicate effectively as a sports analyst, or for that matter, a news analyst. We have a lot more to come today. It's a big show for you today. Please stay tuned. If this is your first time here, this is Filtered with TJ Walker. We look at top stories in the business world, the media world, the technology world, and our broader culture, analyzing it through the lens of communication and personal development skills. Back in a moment.
Filtered is brought to you by the following. Want to advertise here? You better be legit.
No crypto, no junk food, no supplements. Go to tjwalker.com/advertise.
Want to become a better speaker, leader, or communicator? Start with the TJ Walker Success Library. It's 5 of my most practical books, covering everything from public speaking to media interviews and persuasive messaging, all for only $9.95. I've trained presidents and Fortune 500 CEOs, and now you can get the same wisdom in a fast, affordable format. Go to tjwalker.com/books and download your copies instantly. Thanks for listening. If you like today's episode, you'll love my online courses at MediaTrainingWorldwide.com. Check them out now and level up your skills.
Welcome back to Filtered. Amazon isn't just changing how we shop, it's changing who gets to work. According to the New York Times, Amazon's internal documents reveal plans to replace more than 500,000 jobs with robots over the next decade, automating up to 75% of its operations. The company's Shreveport, Louisiana warehouse is already a prototype of this future. 1,000 robots doing the work once handled by people. Amazon says it's, quote, investing in advanced technology, but the strategy could quietly turn America's second largest employer into its next big job eliminator. MIT economist Darren Asimoglu warns that once Amazon figures out how to make this profitable, it will spread to others as well. This isn't the first labor revolution. Telephone operators vanished in the 1960s, typists in the 1980s, and we could go back to looming and creating cloth in previous centuries. Each time, the machines got faster and the humans got fewer in that particular job. Imagine what's going to happen here if Amazon can just say, we don't really need any workers anymore. That's going to be a huge hunk out of the economy. So what's the real message here? Amazon says, yes, we value our employees. We love our employees. Our employees are great. But we got this robot company, and we want them to do the dirty work. Well, guess what? Pretty much all of Amazon is the dirty work. It's getting packages from here to there. And if a robot can do it faster, easier, and cheaper, it is going to mean the elimination of 500,000 jobs. What's the message to you? If you have a job at Amazon or any job where it's physically picking up, moving things around, you've got to start preparing, building a new skill set for an entirely new career. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. This is a tricky issue because it's very easy to just say in a sanctimonious way, well, isn't Jeff Bezos and Andy Jassy, aren't they just greedy? How dare they do that? It's very easy to be generous with other people's money. And I don't know about you, I personally haven't given 1 million people jobs the way Jeff Bezos does. Am I saying he's great and he deserves hero worship? No. But let's not forget, so many of you have Amazon in your 401k, you own stock in them. You're not going to like it if all of a sudden they say, you know what, we're going to be 10 times less profitable than we could be because we're going to take care of employees and not automate. You may say, good for you, let me sell my stock. And then the stock goes down further and further. That is, unfortunately, what capitalism is all about. Am I saying dog eat, and we need a dog eat world? No, I'm a big fan of having a social safety net and helping training people to get new skills. But technology is undefeated. Once technology comes about, you can't really stop it. You couldn't stop the looms in 19th century England. You couldn't stop AT&T automating long distance phone calls, so you didn't have to have a phone operator. You couldn't stop people creating desktop and laptop computers and therefore not needing to have stenographers and typists in every company and every law firm. You just simply cannot stop it. Now, Amazon says, oh no, these are cobots. These are going to work with our coworkers. That's BS. Let's be honest. If Amazon could fire employees and put a robot in, they would do it. Even if it's relatively expensive. If a robot costs $75,000 and it's a one-time expense, and you never have to worry about it calling in sick or needing evenings and weekends off or vacations off or health care off, and it never complains, it never gets a back sprain, it never needs a restroom break. Well, guess what? Amazon is going to use these robots. So yes, it's unfortunate for people who are paying their bills, supporting their family if they work in an Amazon warehouse, for example. But let's keep in mind, the value of the job is not that the job is so fun, interesting, and intellectually stimulating and rewarding. The value of the job is it results in a paycheck. So the real question is, how can workers doing the sorts of jobs that will be eliminated get other jobs? And that really isn't the responsibility or the problem of Jeff Bezos or Andy Jassy, the current CEO of Amazon. That is the problem of our political leaders. It's the problem you and I have as individuals. And that's what I urge you to think about. Where do you see your own career? If you are a young person and you don't really enjoy studying and you don't really enjoy school, and maybe you tried a semester or two of community college, you didn't love it, and now you got a job at an Amazon warehouse, and all of a sudden you're making more money than you ever have before. You're not rich, obviously, but you're making more money than you ever have. You can maybe afford rent. You can go out with your friends on the weekends, have a beer, and watch TV, play some, life is okay. You got to ask yourself, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? If you're not constantly learning higher level skills, there's a good chance you will be put out of business by a robot. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to me. Now, I'm trying to get ahead of it by I actually have my own AI clone. Now, I'm the real thing hosting this show today, but at some point, if AI video clones and audio clones are ruling everything, I want it to be my clone. So that is my biggest piece of advice to you is you've constantly got to think about not what's the job you're doing now. You do have to think about that, but you also have to think about how is technology evolving to change my job? That's the second thing you got to think about. And then you have to be, like we mentioned Wayne Gretzky earlier, he's famous for saying, you've got to go where the puck is going to be, not just chase the puck. You've got to really think about, and this requires some guesswork, and people are wrong. I'm wrong all the time. You got to think about, where is your job going? Where is your industry going? How do you get ahead of that? How do you get to that nexus of expertise and value that you can provide that cannot be provided, at least short term, by robots and by AI? Long term, who knows? We may all become irrelevant, and there may be a utopia where we're sitting back and being fed grapes by beautiful robots. Maybe the species just dies because we're all so lazy and addicted to our phones. No one ever leaves home again. No one ever leaves their bedroom again. I don't know. We'll speculate on that in the future. Lots more to come. I appreciate your comments coming in. And Ben says, AI and robots should not replace humans. People should remain in control and behind the operation of AI. I hope so, Ben. Here's the problem. In the history of planet Earth, there's never been a less intelligent animal controlling a smarter animal. Tigers, gorillas, bears are stronger than humans, but we're able to put them in cages. They're not putting us in cages. So when you look at the history of intelligence, when it comes to animals, beings on Earth, the more intelligent one has always controlled the other. And that's why so many people are afraid, in fact, scared about what happens when a general artificial intelligence is created that is truly much smarter than any one human being or a collective of human beings. That's what people are scared about. What will happen? It doesn't necessarily have to end up in dystopia, but it doesn't necessarily mean utopia either. More in a moment, lots to come today. Many, many big issues. Back in a moment.
Want to communicate like a pro? Go to MediaTrainingWorldwide.com. Millions have already transformed their speaking skills. Why not you? This show doesn't run on a lot of corporate sponsorships or big media backing. It runs on caffeine and your support. If you like what you're hearing and want to say thanks, you can buy me a coffee. Really. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/TJ Walker. It's quick, it's easy, and yes, it helps cover editing, hosting, and staying relatively ad-free for as long as possible. Buymeacoffee.com/TJ Walker. Your $3.95 makes a real difference.
Imagine one Trump-aligned family controlling both CBS News and CNN, plus Batman, Harry Potter, and Captain Kirk. According to the Times, Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed it's weighing takeover offers. And they're the ones who own all those things I just mentioned. They're considering a takeover, including one from Paramount, which is led by David Ellison. David Ellison just took over CBS. If that deal happens, Paramount would absorb Warner Brothers, creating a single empire over Hollywood blockbusters and two of America's most influential newsrooms. Analysts say it could rival Netflix and Disney in scale, but raise serious political and media concerns. David Ellison's father, tech billionaire Larry Ellison, is a longtime Trump supporter who helped fund conservative media ventures. Paramount recently named Barry Weiss, founder of the Free Press, as editor-in-chief of CBS News. That means a merged company could put CNN and CBS News under leadership ideologically tied to Trump allies, a consolidation unlike anything in U.S. media history. Okay, so what's the real message here? If Paramount takes over Warner Brothers, you're going to see more and more of what appears to be state-run media in the United States. We may look no different than what you see in Hungary or modern-day Russia, where reporters from the most powerful outlets are just pushing a message that appeases those in power. The other big prediction, Bill Maher's Real Time will be gone. He'll be marched out of HBO studios the day this happens, if Paramount does take over the parent company of HBO, Time Warner. Let's dig a little deeper here. I don't mean to seem totally gloom and doom, because the media is fragmenting in so many different ways. You could say it would be more concerning 25, 30 years ago, when most Americans did get their news from so-called mainstream media outlets, CNN, CBS. These days, with people getting news from Joe Rogan and the Young Turks and yours truly, there's a lot of fragmentation, because I really don't think Paramount is going to be buying me or buying my voice, which is a good thing. It means when you come to me, you will get an independent perspective on the news. I'm here as a sane, sensible centrist. So I'm delivering the news to you and then analyzing it through the filter of communication and personal development skills. So that is one of the exciting things about this new world, this new media world we live in. There's all sorts of sizes and shapes and formats of media and news media. Let's look at some more facts here. Paramount's offer reportedly values Warner Brothers Discovery around $50 billion, which is about how much money Larry Ellison made in one day just a few months ago, when certain acquisitions and mergers happened. Warner Brothers controls not only CNN, but HBO and DC Comics. Their total streaming reach is 200 million plus subscribers. Analysts say this is the biggest consolidation since Disney and Fox. Now, traditionally, in Washington, D.C., the Federal Communications Commission would really scrutinize this and say, do we want this much consolidation? Is this good for consumers? Well, there essentially is no FCC anymore. There's just directives from the White House. The question is no longer, is this good for consumers? The question, is this good politically for certain incumbents? That is the only question that is going to be asked. So it bears watching. I personally am not going to lose a lot of sleep over Time Warner being sold. There's so many examples of mergers and back and forth, and this company gobbling up this company. I well remember now a quarter of a century ago, it was the soundbite of the decade, arguably, when Time Warner merged with AOL. And the founder of CNN famously said, I haven't been this excited since the night I lost my virginity 30 years later. And of course, it was one of the worst mergers of all time, where it just eviscerated basically the entire market cap of one of those companies. Because AOL at the time, really high valuation. Time Warner, the big company making a lot of money. But that is not how it worked out. It will go down in history as one of the absolute worst mergers / acquisitions ever. And I well remember that. So all these big media companies are constantly gobbling up each other, mutating, being spun off. Most of the time, it doesn't change the quality of the content much, but times are different now. When Paramount took over CBS and installed a political hack, I would argue, and Barry Weiss, that's new. That's just different. You've never seen any company gobble up a gigantic, one of the big three broadcasters with huge multi-million audience members every day watching their news and say, we're going to put an editor-in-chief, someone who's never reported a day in their life, never run a news organization, never run TV. We're going to put someone in because of their political positions. Barry Weiss, the Free Press, they punch left every day. That and their stance on certain issues in the Middle East are very popular with certain political fans of theirs. It's a different time. It's absolutely a different time. All I can tell you, it's more important than ever to support independent media voices. Apologies if this seems self-serving, but this is why, frankly, I appreciate you watching me and listening to me. And if you are listening on a podcast platform, please take a moment to hit follow, hit subscribe. It does help me reach more people. It sends a signal to podcast platforms. Hey, people like this independent voice on news. Let's push it out to more people. If you're watching this on TikTok, thank you. On YouTube, on Twitch, on Rumble, on Instagram, on Facebook, or any of the other platforms, please, thank you. Take a moment. Let me know where you're watching from today. I see we have viewers on Twitch today and YouTube and others stopping by to say hello. Let me know where you are either watching or viewing this show. Please leave comments, leave questions, fact check me. This is not a huge operation. I don't have a team of 29 extra researchers and fact checkers behind me. I try not to make mistakes. There are going to be differences of opinions from time to time, but I do believe that there is such a thing as a fact, and it can be checked. And people, honest people from across the political spectrum, can still have honest conversations, honest debates about what's going on in the world, what the world should be, and use the same central facts. Different interpretation, spotlight different facts, but facts still matter. So if I get my facts wrong, call me out on it. That is what I like. That's what I would appreciate. Thanks so much. We're going to take a brief commercial break. Back with a lot more. We got an action-packed show for you today.
Want a shortcut to powerful communication skills? Download the TJ Walker Success Library, 5 of my best-selling books for only $9.95. Go to tjwalker.com/books. Instant access, big impact. I've had entire YouTube channels wiped out overnight, so if you enjoy this show, don't lose track of me. The safest way is my newsletter, substack.com/@TJWalkerSuccess. Sign up for free and you'll get exclusive commentary, live session alerts, and first access to new tools. Again, that's substack.com. Just search for TJ Walker or go to substack.com/@TJ Walker Success, your direct line to everything I do.
Welcome back to Filtered. Something unusual is happening in Republican politics right now. Top conservatives are starting to sound less like crusaders against the woke left and more like reformers warning their own party. In separate moments this week, Senator Ted Cruz and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis both broke from MAGA talking points. Ted Cruz told Bloomberg that millions of people protesting Trump's second presidency in the form of the No King State represent political peril for Republicans, urging his party to take anger on the streets seriously or risk a midterm bloodbath. Meanwhile, Governor DeSantis joined Democrat David Trone in a bipartisan, that's not a word you hear very often these days, a bipartisan New York Times op-ed calling for term limits to end Washington's retirement home culture of career politicians. Together, their comments suggest a GOP in crisis, less focused on attacking progressives and Democrats, more on saving itself from decline. So what's the real message here? When Ted Cruz is saying to his fellow Republicans, hey, wake up. This no kings thing is real. We ignore it at our own peril. That's one thing. When you look at another strand where someone like Ron DeSantis, who's normally just bashing the woke, is talking about a bipartisan issue like term limits, it's a sign that more and more serious career-oriented politicians in the Republican Party are saying, we can't just keep doing the same old thing of bashing everyone who disagrees with us as a radical terrorist who is a part of the extreme left. It's not working anymore. So this to me is fascinating. Ted Cruz is, by all accounts, highly intelligent, extremely high IQ. Top student in high school, college at Princeton. His law professor, Alan Dershowitz at Harvard, said he was brilliant back then. And even people who don't like him, which is, by the way, pretty much everyone in the Senate and everyone who works with him, they concede he's a brilliant person and is smart, has done well in politics despite his personality. Not because of it. He's not one of these warm, cuddly characters that people just love because they're so charming and engaging. He is a smart guy, and he is not just following the script. The script that was put out last week in Washington, and it trickled down to podcast, it trickled down to the Newsmax, the Fox Newses, it trickled down into comments, it trickled down even to comments on my own social media. And that message point was, No King's Day is just about hating America by radical extremists. Nothing else there, nothing to look at, folks. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a sign of political weakness or of anyone being less enthusiastic about the incumbent president of the United States. It's just an exercise of a few long-haired, dirty, smelly foreign terrorists. That was the message put out by the White House, by most Republicans in the House and the Senate, and the talking points that filtered out into talk radio and podcast and down to the grassroots. Ted Cruz is looking at this and no, that's not what it is, folks. There's genuine anger in America. And he points out quite rightly that angry people show up at the polls. Complacent people say, oh, you know what? Things are okay. I'll stay home. And it has Ted Cruz worried because I think he rather enjoys being a part of the majority. Now, I've not yet seen any polls to suggest the Democrats could win back the United States Senate in 2026, even assuming, and this may be a bit of a stretch, assuming we have free and fair elections in America in 2026. But by all accounts, by every historical cycle, the Democrats should win back the House of Representatives if there are free and fair elections. This has Ted Cruz concerned, as it should. You know, people in any one party should always be concerned about losing control of a branch of government if they have control. So he's sending a strong warning to people. We cannot ignore this. So I think that's significant because for quite a while now, so many members of the Republican Party have marched in lockstep with whatever the administration says. And they followed, give them credit, politically it's worked. They followed a very disciplined communication strategy, which is everything we're doing is great. Everything our opponents are doing is wrong, awful, and an example of how they're extremist and terrorist. You can quibble over whether that's factually accurate or not, but that has been the messaging strategy that's been very helpful. Ted Cruz has broken that. He's now giving honest assessments saying, look, we may have some real trouble here. The other thing is I look at the zeitgeist here and how things are changing. I come to different conclusions from other people. Many people would look at this op-ed today in today's New York Times from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calling for term limits for the House and say, oh, that's a boring old issue. Ignore it. It is kind of a boring old issue, and not because there's not a problem with people staying, 40 and 50 years in the Congress. And full disclosure, I'm actually in favor of term limits. So I endorse Governor Ron DeSantis on this measure. It's boring because it's not going to happen politically, because politicians do not vote to put themselves out of office. They don't. The significance here is this is the first time I remember in years that Ron DeSantis has made an open play to the media, has been up front and tried to really push a story into the national media that wasn't just pandering to an extreme right-wing MAGA base. This is the first time I remember him not saying something that is 100% bashing the woke left, whatever that is. He's saying it's a bipartisan problem. He also, interestingly enough, wrote a column, or his assistants or staff did it, but it was bylined by a Democratic former member of Congress. So he made this a bipartisan push. That is significant to me as well, because for quite some time now, the message out of Washington has been the other party is so awful, so extreme. They are so captured by radical, dangerous, violent, extremists, socialists, leftists. We don't have anything to do with them. And here's Ron DeSantis essentially getting into bed with a Democratic former member of Congress on an issue. Bipartisanship, I think it's great. Is it signaling more? Is it signaling to the American people from a Republican politician that, hey, maybe we've gotten all the juice out of this anti-wokeness thing that we can. Maybe we've sucked this thing dry. Maybe we've mined this. There's nothing left. There's no gold left in these veins, to further extend my torturous metaphors. I'm wondering if that's what's going on. What do you think? You can post your comments and your questions. If you agree with me, say why. Don't just say agree. If you disagree with me, even better, but say why. Now, this is a part of a pattern. We've talked in recent weeks about how Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican Congresswoman from Georgia, has increasingly felt emboldened to attack the Republicans, to attack certain policies of this administration, to say the Democrats are right to be concerned about 20 million Americans seeing their health care costs double in the near future. So it is interesting that what we're seeing now is a splintering of messaging. And you can say, well, TJ, why aren't you talking about the Democrats? Because the Democrats really have no voice. They don't control the White House. They don't control the Supreme Court. They don't control the Senate. They don't control the House. And Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leaders in Congress, don't have any real power. So yeah, the Democratic Party has a lot of splintered messaging going on right now. There's no doubt about it. But this past Saturday, the messaging was very, very focused. We don't want kings in America who can just rule as a dictator would. That part has become very clear. So you could argue, and by the way, I'm on record as saying Republicans in general are simply better communicators than Democrats are. I play it to you straight and honest here. But in the last week, we have seen something I think we've not really seen in the last year, which is you've seen Democrats united in a message And you've seen Republicans all of a sudden coming up with a lot of different messages that are no longer 100% black, white, wokeism, extreme left bad, we're 100% good. So whether this trend will continue, I don't know. I certainly place no faith in the Democrats' ability to have consistent positive messaging that will help them politically. But are we at a time when the Republicans are going to be less unified? It may be because of recent drops in polling in terms of support for this president. We'll talk about that in the grab bag section. We've got to move on to another big issue today that isn't directly related to politics, and yet it kind of is. Back in a moment.
Filtered is brought to you by the following. You don't need a new degree. You don't need another expensive coach. You need the right communication habits, and I'll teach them to you in just a few minutes a day. At MediaTrainingWorldwide.com, I've created the most comprehensive library of online communication and personal development courses anywhere. You'll learn public speaking, media training, persuasion, executive presence, and more. These are the same methods I've taught to world leaders, but now they're affordable and accessible to everyone. You can start for free and upgrade anytime. Go now to MediaTrainingWorldwide.com. Confidence isn't a personality trait, it's a skill, and it's trainable.
Welcome back to Filtered. I'm your host, TJ Walker. Measles, a disease once wiped out in America, is back, and experts warn it's not the harmless childhood rash many people remember. According to the Center for Disease Control data, more than 1,500 measles cases have been reported in 2025, the highest total since the disease was declared eliminated back in 2000. The largest outbreak is in Texas, with more than 800 infections and 2 unvaccinated child deaths. That's right, actual death. It's not just a cute little thing where you have spots on your face. Health officials say 9 out of 10 cases involve unvaccinated people. Many forget measles can cause pneumonia, blindness, brain swelling, deafness, and even death. About 1 in 1,000 U.S. children with measles die from complications. The vaccine, introduced in the 1960s, saved millions worldwide, but now, with vaccination rates slipping below herd immunity, doctors warn old diseases don't stay gone when people stop believing in science. Okay, what's the real message here? Children are dying in America because of measles and because of the attitude that, oh, I've done my own research and I don't want vaccines. Vaccines prevent measles. Sorry if you don't want to hear that. Sorry if you want to go to some obscure website that would rather sell you shark cartilage. But if you don't want your kid to have measles and die from measles, get a measles vaccine. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. Obviously, this is a charged issue and a controversial issue in the last 5 years in the United States and other countries. It's not really been that controversial until the last 5 years. But here's what people forget. They always say, oh, I'm going to do my own research and I don't trust experts. Well, if you're listening to someone telling you don't take a measles vaccine, you are listening to someone that you at least perceive as having more expertise than you. So everyone does listen to experts, whether they want to admit it or not. Now, let's look at some of the facts here. Again, 2025, 1,500 cases of measles, which had essentially, in the United States, highest in 25 years. It had essentially been eliminated because in the year 2000, the year George W. Bush got elected president, people actually believed in measles vaccines. They don't now. In Texas alone, 2 children died this year from measles. So this is death on the hands of people spreading this idea that measles vaccines are really not very good for you. When it comes to people in kindergarten, we've gone from 95.2% kindergartners getting the vaccine down to 92% in just a few years. And most scientists agree you need 95% coverage to create herd immunity. There was a record low in 2004, only 37 cases in the entire country. But now it is back. Let's look at the bigger picture when it comes to vaccines. Now, I have advisors saying, "Oh, TJ, don't talk about vaccines. YouTube and other social media, they don't like it. They're going to de-escalate your content." It's just too important to ignore. It is too important to ignore. We have to talk about this. Wow, I just did something to my computer. I don't know if I went dark or not. I accidentally gestured. There we go. We are back. Let's look at the facts regarding vaccines in general. According to medical officials, 57 million from these lives have been saved from measles vaccines. 154 million from all vaccines since 1974. Let's step back even further. Let's look at life expectancy. In 1900, before vaccines were prevalent, the average person died at age 32 around the world. Today, the average age is 70. I mean, I just don't know what's more compelling. Would you like to die at 32, or would you like to live more than twice as long if you get a shot? To me, that is a pretty clear-cut value proposition. There are not many things in life where you can be told, do this one thing and earn another 38 years of life. I find that a pretty compelling argument, but that's just me. What do you think? This is a tough issue to talk about with family and friends, because people who think this is awful and it's all a conspiracy are very emotional. And, I'm emotional too about 154 million people who would have died without vaccines. I'm fairly emotional too about not wanting to die at age 32. Thankfully, I know I'm not going to die at age 32 because that happened 30 years ago for me. So all you can really do if you're not a public official, you can vote for public officials who actually believe in not slaughtering hundreds of millions of people, which is what you're essentially doing if you know there's a simple cure for something, a preventative measure, and you don't advocate it. And in your own life, get vaccinated. That's really all you can do. I better stop talking about this now, or certain algorithms will push me off social media, because this unfortunately has become a contentious issue. Hey, I want to thank you for watching today. Those are 5 big issues. There's so much in the news. We have to go on into our grab bag section. But I do like to break things up and talk about pop culture and other things, share with you a few things that I'm up to so you have a better sense of what I do. I do like to read everyday news. I like to read nonfiction books. I'm currently reading Enshittification, which is a fantastic book by Cory Doctorow about how essentially every major media platform goes through phases where first they're really nice to customers, then they're nice to their business customers, they're nice to users, then they start taking away from users, then they start taking away from the customers, and then everything is about enriching the top executives and shareholders. It's a fascinating read. I would recommend the book. I also like to spend some time just relaxing in the evening, typically not more than 60 minutes, watching TV. Right now, I'm watching Loot on Apple Plus, starring Maya Rudolph, the former Saturday Night Live character, where she is a billionaire's wife who goes through a divorce, and all of a sudden she has $87 billion to give away. And it's a fascinating glimpse into the world of the supremely wealthy, just the decor of the rooms and houses they're in. It's worth watching just for that. And then they just take right from the headlines. There was a character in one of the early episodes who was exactly like Sam Bankman-Fried, where she's about to give him all of her money right when the FBI comes in and arrests him and he admits the whole thing was a con. So it rips from the headlines in a compelling way about what's going on in the modern world of politics, of technology, media, and philanthropy. It's not a laugh every second, but I do find it compelling enough. Not everyone in my family loves the show, but that is what I'm watching now. Let's shift over and look at some more big issues of the day. President Trump is allegedly demanding $230 million from the Justice Department for past probes, including the Russia and Mar-a-Lago cases, raising ethics alarms since his own former lawyers now run the DOJ. So get this. He's saying, all those times I committed crimes, even ones where I was found guilty, I want the taxpayers to pay me back every penny I spent on that. And the people who are going to be making this decision are the very lawyers, some of whom he owes money to. It's hard to imagine a conflict of interest greater than this. The other shocking thing, here I am talking about it. It didn't even merit one of our top 5 issues of the day. I have become so numb. Society has become so numb that I honestly think Trump could sign an executive order at noon on a Monday morning and just say, all military personnel with trucks should show up to Fort Knox, begin emptying out all the gold, and then bring it to Mar-a-Lago, where I will personally own it forever. And I think we're at a point now where there's so much, shall we say, excrement flung up against the wall every day, people wouldn't even notice it for more than about 5 minutes. Be like, there it is. Okay, what are you going to do? And we'd go on to the next story. So there's at some point outrage fatigue. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche could approve the payout. That's one of his former lawyers. Now, reports are saying Trump would claim to donate funds. If you believe that, you believe Trump doesn't use makeup or hair color, okay? There's a long, long history of him claiming money's going to go to charity that somehow never gets there. But this is the world we live in. And this is frankly why we have a situation where the No King's Day attracted millions and millions of people around the globe, is for things exactly like that. Things that no other even Nixon wouldn't even have occurred to him to try something like that. Okay, we're just going to have to go on to other news. Paul Ingrassia withdrew as nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel after reports of racist and extremist messages. 4 GOP senators oppose him, killing the nomination. And let's be real here. I sort of sanitized that. He said, I got a Nazi streak in me. He basically said he loved Hitler, paraphrasing it. And that was known before he was nominated for this influential position that would have required Senate approval. And here again, I talked about it with Ted Cruz earlier, with Ron DeSantis. Now we have 4 Republican senators who say, this is too much even for me. I'm willing to endure the wrath of this administration putting nasty things about me on Twitter, on Truth Social, and others. I'm willing to get the threats. It's too far for me to vote for a guy, to cast a vote for a guy who says, I've got a bit of a Hitler Nazi streak in me. That's too far. This is a guy who likes to hobnob with Andrew Tate, well-known right-wing provocateur, rapist, and all in all nasty person. Andrew Tate, that's who this guy liked to hang out with, apparently, and it's one of his allies. He's also a right-wing podcaster. And he just graduated from law school a couple of years ago. It almost, I don't want to get my hopes up too much. It almost appears as if there is a line you can't go past. That's not a sentence you've heard me or anyone else say much of in the last 10 months. Seems like 10 years. The last 10 months, Freudian slip there. It seems like there actually are some norms left. Now, maybe you can still do lots and lots of racist things, sexist things, anti-Semitic things. But apparently, I guess now the line is you can't literally say, I love Hitler, the way a number of Republican youth leaders did last week in their Telegram chat. And you can't literally say, I have a Nazi streak or a Hitler streak in me, and still expect to get confirmed by the United States Senate. Look, you got to take your wins where you can find them. I'm going to consider that a win. Now, sometimes in politics, you get a win and it still isn't counted. That's what's happening in Arizona. Arizona's attorney general sued the House, accusing Speaker Mike Johnson of unlawfully blocking the new Democratic congressman who just won a special election out there. They're being sued. They're suing Mike Johnson for failing to swear in this new congresswoman simply because she would be the deciding vote to force the Epstein files to be put out there. Mike Johnson's like, we're not going to swear her in. This is really unprecedented. I have to remind myself sometimes and everyone else that democracy, by its very nature, cannot be something where there's a constitution or any document writing down with 100% clarity every single possible thing that you have to do and can't do. There has to be some goodwill by the political players. Let me give you, for example, imagine a situation where a Republican wins the White House by a landslide, bigger than Reagan in 1984. A Republican has won a landslide because the public supports this person. Now imagine the Republicans win a landslide in Senate races. They now control 59 senators. The Democrats only have 41. So now imagine it's the new administration. They've come to town and they're ready to appoint their Secretary of State, their Attorney General, their entire cabinet. Let's say a Supreme Court justice decides to retire the first month. Now imagine the Democrats simply say, okay, we got 41 votes. We are simply going to vote no forever. We're not going to allow this administration to have any of the people they want in any cabinet position, and we'll just leave the Supreme Court empty for 4 years, 8 years if we have to. Technically, legally, they could do that, but that is clearly not what the founders intended. But you could do it, and that is essentially the attitude in this current administration is if we can get away with it, if it's not nailed down 100% and it benefits us in any way possible, we're going to do it. So that's the attitude of why this popularly elected member, Democratic new member of Congress, has not been sworn in to the Congress to start fulfilling her job, doing her duties, casting votes, casting a deciding vote into releasing the Epstein file. It's because Mike Johnson says, it's not written down in the Constitution that I have to swear her in, and it might help me look better if I don't. So I'm just not going to even respect the will of the people. And now we're in this embarrassing situation where the Arizona government has to sue the Speaker of the House just to get a popularly elected member of Congress seated in that body. Eventually they'll have to do it, but it's prolonging the agony longer and longer and longer. Okay, another issue, I'm almost reluctant to bring it up, but I can't let it go all the way. Investors say a crypto tied to Melania Trump was manipulated for profit. Well, there's a shocker. Spiking, then crashing within hours. The lawsuit says her name was used as window dressing. So she had like her husband, a crypto coin come out right before they assumed power again in January. And now plaintiffs are alleging an insider profit scheme. So Melania got a bunch for free. Other insiders got a bunch for free. It spiked to $13.73 per Melania coin. And then it quickly went to 10 cents. So everyone who paid more than 10 cents lost money. And plaintiffs are saying it was an insider profit scheme. Trump family reportedly earned, with this venture and others, $1 billion from crypto ventures. Boy, it makes you pine for the days of Vice President Spiro Agnew getting an envelope full of cash for $20,000 and putting it in his jacket pocket, and people being outraged by that. This is $1 billion, according to some estimates from these various crypto scams. There's only one bright side to this story, I see, which is anyone ridiculous enough, stupid enough, and I don't throw that word around promiscuously, but if you were stupid enough to buy a Melania crypto coin and you lost money, good, you deserve to lose money. Anything that's so obviously a scam, a fraudulent scam, and anything that's so obviously a corrupt, fraudulent scam as that, I only wish everyone could have lost money. Okay, our final grab bag issue of the day. This is courtesy of the Department of Homeland Security. They face backlash after posting a fake video showing Black teens threatening ICE. Representative Eric Swalwell demanded its removal, calling it AI-driven disinformation. So here's what they did. They took a real video, but they changed the text to make it seem like a bunch of, in their view, scary-looking Black young men were threatening ICE officials. And it was a video about something else, had nothing to do with ICE. But they're using AI to change, and you probably don't even need AI to change the text to make something appear to communicate an idea it does not do. There's a big problem with disinformation in general and AI slop. It's a bad enough problem. But the idea that our government officials are going to use fake images, fake video, fake AI-driven memes to fool and trick Americans, that should be the last area, not the first area where this innovation takes place. It's truly bizarre. Okay, we're almost out of time. We've gone over today, but I do want to start a new segment in our show. I've done it maybe a couple of times. And that is where you write me questions that relate to communication skills and personal development skills, because that is my main area of expertise. Those of you who don't know me, I have hundreds of courses on communication skills, online courses, communication skills and personal development skills, and more than 12 million student enrollments from every country in the world, other than I don't think I have anyone from North Korea. So I take questions from students and I take questions from viewers and listeners like you. So the question today, this is coming from Ask Hay. And the question is, how can I improve my communication to be clear, influential, and confident in both professional and personal settings? Well, let's start with the professional setting. If you want to come across as clearer, more articulate, more confident, the easiest way to do that is to practice any presentation you're going to give, even asking a question in a meeting. Practice in advance at home, alone. Use your cell phone to practice. Then watch it, look at it, figure out what you like, what you don't like. Do it again. The reason a lot of us come across as lacking in confidence is our volume goes down, our voice goes flat, we sound nervous, we look nervous, and we don't know it because we didn't rehearse. If you rehearse once and you say, wow, I can barely hear myself, it's not too late. You can practice again, boosting your volume. Keep doing it until you like what you see. That is the number one thing. Now, this can help personally as well. I'm not suggesting that if you want to seem more confident with 3 friends at lunch in the high school cafeteria, that you have to practice for 3 hours at night. But I do want you to practice, meaning simply have more conversations. Seek out opportunities. If you're a student, you can say, well, TJ, I'm not giving keynote speeches at the United Nations. I don't have these opportunities to speak. Wrong. You have an opportunity every single day if you're a student. It's called raise your hand and ask a question. Most students are afraid of doing it. They're afraid of looking stupid, number one. Number two, it's a form of public speaking. If you're speaking in front of 20 other class members, and we are biologically, in an evolutionary way, programmed to be nervous about being seen by others. You can fight that. You can build confidence by asking one question at a time. Every time you speak in front of other people, it is an opportunity to build your confidence, to build a skill set. People who play golf or basketball every day are usually better than people who play once a year. And if you actively look for opportunities, not to grandstand, but to speak, you will find them everywhere. Ask a question. You're on a Zoom meeting, ask a question. Make a point if you think it's adding to the conversation. And deal with the fact you're occasionally going to say something stupid. I've said stupid things before. I've tripped on a word before. I've mispronounced something. Even in this show, I accidentally made my computer go dead for a minute. That's okay. Don't be afraid to make a mistake when you are in front of people. You do that consistently, you will be more confident. You will come across more comfortable and authoritative in your personal life and your professional life. So Ask Shay, thank you so much for your question. If you do have questions, please post them on whatever social media platform you are looking at right now or listening to. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow.